Hi guys, my name's Paul, this is Plan Z, welcome to the session, and today I just wanted to do a little video. I'm currently taking a little bit of time out, medicating my ears at the moment. After working in headphones over winter, I got a little bit of build up of wax in my ears, so I'm just clearing that before I get into the amp deep dives. But I was asked to cover something that I covered in a video that I covered about a year ago. Stereo effects, stereo patches, and I thought what we'll do is let's use my patch 2 and we're going to convert this into an exclusively GT1000 cab sim. We're going to save it in another patch and modify it in a moment. And what we're going to be looking at in this session is how to use divides, how to set up stereo patches. I'll talk to you about a few things I discovered while I was doing my experiments. And we're going to have a little look at space echo. We're going to be putting that through a couple of other effects along the way. So what we're going to do is, before we do any more waffle, let's just save this patch. We want 45.2. Let's save that there. Now then, what we're listening to is Booty Camp. The guy who's asked me the question, Jonathan, hi mate, hopefully you're well by the way, uses a Booty Camp or a Supreme amp. I've currently got the Brownie back, which is a 412 5150 on this, but let's change to just changing to Twin 77 on the 2 notes cab M before I change to the GT1000. So the dry signal, what's happening is we come in, we hit a couple of amps in stereo, we're going to talk about this in a minute, and then we hit a divide, and then we hit my 2 notes. Okay, and here I've got what I like to call wet dry. So I've got a divide that here, I've got a wet signal coming through here. But what we're going to do in this patch is we're going to change how things work. We're going to mute my main output, so I take out my direct level, and I'm going to take this cabinet and stick it at the end of the chain. And then I'm going to take my sub outs and I'm going to stick it here. So now this is like how you would be set up. I'm just going to move my compressor because I want that on my wets. I don't want it on my dry for the minute. Now let's set up here. I think I've got a deluxe cabinet, but I'm going to use, let's find the twin, which I think is the 212.3. Let me just check my notes. Where are we? 212.3 is the Fender twin. So I'm going to put that on the boutique amp with the same settings. So now what we're hearing is GT1000 cabs, and my wets are coming through the same cabinet. Okay, so this is very similar to how you would be set up, only you'd be the opposite way around. Your main signal will be coming out your main outs. Now I want to leave my 2 notes there because when I do my deep dives I want to do shootouts. Let's turn off those wets. Let's understand the patch a little bit more. So coming in, we hit a noise suppression which is set to input. I'm not going to go into the threshold and things here in this session. I want to focus on these divides. So we come in, we hit our first divide, and this one at the moment is set to single, and when we get to the mixer it's set to stereo, which means we're going to come up the middle. Okay, if I was to set this to left right, I'm going to come out just the left channel. Okay, but let's keep that set to stereo, because what I've got is I've got an assign here where when I press this button and this button, different things happen to this divide. So we're going to start out with the second green button. We're now in the second amp coming exclusively out of the right channel. Okay, so when I press this button, every time I press it, it always selects left right here. When you set it up in the assigns, it will give you dual 2 left right, but I set it to left right on both. And then what happens is at the front here in this mixer, it just goes channel A or channel B. So channel A, right, is to the left, and channel B is to the right. Okay. Now, when I hit this button, I've got both. what we've got going on here is nothing is adjusted here. Yeah, so both of those pages are blank. In the mixer, I've got the levels the same. I've just got the spread at 10. Okay. Now, the wider you go here, this is like a stereo effect. Okay, where what it's doing is delaying the signal. And the further out you go, I don't know if you can hear now. We'll go to the extreme. The signal on the right will be delayed. Okay, so but I tend to like to at max go to 50. Or somewhere around there, somewhere between 45 and 50. But I'm starting out in my templates at 10. Okay. Now I actually balanced the amps on the amp, so the volumes are the same. The gains are the same. All these settings here will be the same on both amps. The thing that will be different will be the bass, the mid, the treble, and the presence is often the same. So here we can see I've got what, bass at 45, mids at 53, trebs at 57, and on this side we've got bass at 41, mids at 60, and treb at 56. Yeah, presence the same. The other thing that will make a difference is my EQs are different. So here we've got a +2. I'm taking out 315 on a Q of 4, and I'm taking out 2K on a Q of 2, only 1 dB. I'm doing a low cut here at 100 Hertz, whereas on this side I'm boosting by only 1, taking out 315 on a tighter Q, so it's a different shape, but then boosting 2K on a wide Q of 3 and doing my low cut 125. Okay, and this gives me a really nice separation in my stereo spread when I go like 2 amps left and right. Now when I hit this button, whichever this is on will come up in the middle. So now I'm on the one where the mids are pushed, and if I press them both and then this one again, I'm in the other one. They sound very similar. It's very subtle differences. Okay, this EQ is usually how I shape or color the amp. So here I'm taking out 500 Hertz, and here I'm boosting 800 Hertz, and then here I deal with the highs. So I take a little bit of low, bump the high by 1, bump the overall level by 1. We've got 4K 1 dB out on the tightest Q16, and the tightest Q16 again for 6.3 kilohertz, minus 3 dB, and I've got the high cut at 10. Now on my 2 notes I like it at 10. Let's bring it into 8. No, I think for the kind of vintagey amps I like it at 10 there. So what's happening here now at this divide, when we hit this, it's going from single to dual, and at the mixer end it goes to stereo. Okay, now this is quite important. Keep this at stereo, because when we now split our amps, what we've got our effects happening in stereo here. What I'm going to do is take off my compressor, I'm going to take off the chorus, going to take off the distortion. Let's bring up the effects level a bit. Now what's happening at this divide is the signal's coming in, the A channel is untouched and is just our pure guitar signal, and then it comes out of my sub outs where we've got our cabinet. Okay, now the B signal then is hitting another divide. So I wanted to separate the reverb from the delay, and I'll use this template and I'll put different reverbs and different delays in here and use different effects, etc. Yeah, but in this particular patch we've got a spring reverb. Let me just go to single here for a moment. We're going to go to this delay. I'll explain why the spring. So we've got control over the level and the feedback here using the expression switch, right? So I'm just going to put it going to bring the level right up. There's no reverb in there, okay? Now the original Space Echo, if I remember right, has a spring reverb in it. So I've added the spring reverb. Now it would probably be in series, but I'm running the effects here in parallel, okay? Now the question was from Jonathan. He was finding that when he had the effect on, which is in stereo, so we can hear it in both ears, when he could hear his amps in both sides, a bit like this. Yeah? Well, I think that might be because when he's engaged his wets, he's trying to copy a patch that I was doing. It's possible that he's setting a sign up slightly incorrectly, and it's actually what he's doing is opening up his amps into stereo. I'm not entirely sure, but let me talk you through how this should work. So this divide here is in single mode at the moment. Let's go back to dual. Actually, before we do, let's go dual. Let's leave it on the screen. And at this side, it's in stereo, which means they're going to come up the middle, okay? What we're going to do is we're just going to come back to this divide. It's confusing, isn't it? But hopefully you're following. And we're going to just now isolate the effects channel, okay? So that's what we're hearing. When I extend the foot switch, we get that. Now that delay is very quiet, isn't it? And what I've done is I've put a drive on it because I want it to feel like it's going to be feeding back. Okay. Now the important thing with this is I brought it up to a level where I wanted the drive, and I've got my direct mix coming through at 50%, because if I take that out, the reverb's in stereo, but you'll notice the delay isn't now because the distortion is a mono effect. Let's open this up. Although the level's quieter, it's in stereo now. We engage this. Level's louder, but we're in mono. But let's bring some that stereo through. In fact, what we might do is let's just dial this in slightly differently. What I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that 50. I'm going to pull this distortion back, and I'm going to bring this level up. Where are we going from? 2. I do want it to go down to 2, I think. But we want that probably to go up to about 40. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have my level there. So I'm going to go into my assign. Side tracking slightly, but I just want to see what happens when we experiment a little bit here. Where have I put the delay? Master delay feedback. Master delay level. Let's go up to 40. I think I said 40 there. 50. We go 50. Let's go 50. So I've done that in the sign. So now we're down to almost nothing when the heel's back, but we get louder here. Now let's bring in this a bit more. We've got. Now the other thing I've got in my arsenal here is a chorus. So I'm putting this chorus on using the CE-1. So it's going to kick my chorus signal out to the right, and the signal will be more pronounced on the right, okay? Hopefully. Although we're getting in stereo, we're getting more of the noise feedbacking on the left, on the right there. So what I'm now going to do is engage my compressor. Now my level actually hasn't gone up. That's just the compressor working, making things a bit more intense. Okay, so now let's come back down here to here. Let's put this on the dry channel. Let's just double click this. We've got our dry now with that wet. Yeah, and you should hear yourself coming up the middle if you're in mono here. Yeah, if you're in stereo, you're gonna hear left and right, but you'll hear left of the right channel, less of the right channel at the moment, because most of my feedback's happening there on the reverb and delay. Yeah, and to me that just gives my space echo a little extra feedback and stuff that I really liked. So hopefully, Jonathan, this is helping you in some way understand that the important thing here is at this divide. You've got your dry signal coming through here. Whatever you put through here from there is what you will hear. So if you've got that engaging with 2 amps, 2 signals, and I think in the other video I had 2 EQs and 1 amp doing the same kind of mimicking, but if you've got that going through your wets or on at the same time, you're going to hear both amps, okay? At this divide, remembering that this is always whatever that clean is, and whatever's happening here is completely separate. The important thing is within these, whatever levels you end up with here, whatever you're doing is you've got your direct mix at 0. Otherwise you'll have your dry signal coming through here as well, okay? And it's the same on this side, but where you're stacking effects, this is something to just watch. I've got my effects level, I've got my dry level at 0, okay? Let's just show you I've got the 2+3, I've got the flutter on 100, just the mod in on 10, on very slow, no ducking, and we got the level up at 50 when we're extended, but when it's pulled back, yeah, it's just like that. Now, just like that. That's like a British comedy thing. Forgotten his name. So we've got this level at 50 when it's full extended. That, as we've just discussed, goes into an XOD where I've got the drive at 80, tone at 0, and the level at 25 now. Remembering the direct mixes through at 50, otherwise you're not getting the stereo, it becomes more mono. And I'm taking some of the bottom out here, okay? I then go into a CE-1 chorus where I've got the rate on 40, the depth on 80, the effect level up at 80. Nothing's changed really here, but we're running in stereo, remember? Now remember, you can run this, Jonathan, this might be a thing. You might be running in mono. You want to be running that in stereo, you've got options. And I've got the direct mix coming through, so we've got that lovely distortion coming through with my delay. We've got our spring reverb. Remembering this is going into a compressor. Remember, this needs to be set as a stereo compressor if you're doing this. If you put a mono compressor on, we'll be in mono. But let's go stereo. Okay, so let's just save this now with the completely dry. What I want to do, there's a little something hurting my ears there. Now we saved this as a 2 notes, but we're now listening to GT1000 cab, so I think I just want to, what I'm going to do, fuzz that's come on. We've also got in this patch, sorry, before we head out, the nice thing about this is here I've got a send return. So what we're going to do is we're just going to scan out a little bit. You can see just here some extra lights, hopefully. That's an HX effect. So I've just engaged the synth. So what we're going to do is let's play around with the stereo field. So let's hear it. Let's pull back those verbs and delays. So out the right, out the left, both, up the middle, Okay, and that's coming from my send return right at the front here. Right, what we might do is put you after the noise suppression. Okay, so let's now just save that as dry. We're on the back pickup. Got the gain knob around 8, 7, something like that. Going to go back down to where I've got my boutique through. This is 2 notes cab in. It's quite a difference. I've got the twin cabinet on the 2 notes. We have. Okay, so I've got that patch as a template across all the amps. Yes, I could drop into Juggernaut. Let's drop into Juggernaut, be the same thing. Only I want to dial that effect in now, as I did with you just now on these patches. So yeah. That's me just sound checking that quickly. I'll catch you a little bit later. Hopefully that was interesting and you found it useful. Take care. Bye-bye.